The worst evening of my life began at 12:47 p.m. on a bright Saturday afternoon, in a crowded cafe that smelled like cinnamon and burnt coffee. I remember the exact time because I checked my phone for the 10th time while sitting across from a woman who looked like she would rather be anywhere else in the world than at that table with me. The sunlight pouring through the windows should have made everything feel warm and hopeful, but instead it made the awkward silence between us feel even louder. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Journal. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the smallest moments can change everything. My name is Mateo Calderon, and that afternoon was supposed to be the start of something new. After a rough year filled with loneliness and long workdays at a small accounting firm, my sister insisted I try a blind date. She swore the woman she set me up with, Kendra, was funny, adventurous, and exactly the kind of person who would bring light back into my life. I believed her, mostly because I wanted to believe that life could still surprise me in a good way. But within 10 minutes of meeting Kendra, it was obvious something wasn't right. She spent most of the time scrolling through her phone, occasionally glancing up only to correct something I said. The conversation felt like trying to start a fire with wet wood. No spark, no warmth, just awkward pauses and forced smiles. Outside the cafe windows, the afternoon buzzed with people enjoying the sunshine, but inside our little corner booth, time dragged like a slow storm cloud. I tried asking about her hobbies, her job, her favorite places to travel. Each question seemed to land with a dull thud. Eventually she sighed, looked at her phone again, and mentioned she had another plan later in the afternoon. Her tone carried that quiet impatience people have when they've already decided something is a waste of their time. That was the moment I felt the familiar weight of disappointment settle on my chest. Maybe my sister had been wrong. Maybe I was just the kind of person people endured rather than enjoyed. I stared down at the untouched sandwich on my plate, suddenly wishing I had never agreed to this date in the first place. The cafe was lively, filled with the gentle clatter of plates and the low hum of conversations, yet somehow I felt completely invisible in the middle of it all. That's when the waitress approached. She had been serving our table since we arrived, a quiet presence moving gracefully between customers. Her name tag read Sienna Park, and she had the kind of calm, attentive expression that made people feel seen without needing to say much. As she placed a glass of water on the table, she paused for half a second longer than usual. Her eyes briefly met mine, and there was something in them that felt strangely intentional, almost like she was weighing a decision. Then, in a soft voice meant only for me, she said the sentence that would change the entire day. "If I were you, I'd stay." At first, I didn't understand what she meant. Kendra had just stood up, gathering her purse with the polite but distant smile of someone eager to leave. She said a quick goodbye and walked out of the cafe, disappearing into the bright afternoon crowd without looking back. Just like that, the terrible blind date was over. I sat there alone at the table, embarrassed and unsure what to do next. Normally, I would have paid the bill and left immediately, eager to escape the awkwardness. But Sienna's quiet words echoed in my mind. "If I were you, I'd stay." Stay for what? Curiosity kept me in my seat. The cafe continued moving around me. Plates clinked. Coffee machines hissed. Sunlight shifted slowly across the wooden floor. I took a slow bite of the sandwich I had almost abandoned, wondering if I had misheard her. Then, about 10 minutes later, something unexpected happened. An elderly man near the window suddenly dropped his cup. It shattered on the floor, and he slumped slightly in his chair. The entire cafe went quiet for a moment as people looked around, unsure what to do. Before anyone else reacted, Sienna rushed over. But she didn't look panicked. Instead, she looked focused, calm, almost prepared. She gently helped the man sit upright and asked someone to call emergency services. Within moments she was guiding him through slow breaths, checking his pulse, and speaking with a reassuring steadiness that made the room feel less chaotic. It became clear quickly that she knew exactly what she was doing. Later, we would learn the man was experiencing a mild heart episode. But because help arrived quickly, and because someone recognized the signs early, he was stabilized and taken to the hospital safely. That someone was Sienna. After the paramedics left and the cafe slowly returned to its usual rhythm, she came back to clear my table. That's when she explained. She had noticed the elderly man earlier when he first sat down. Something about his breathing and the way he held his chest made her uneasy. She had quietly kept an eye on him while working. When she passed my table earlier, she had seen I was about to leave and realized my seat had the clearest view of the man near the window. Without making a scene, she had asked me to stay. Because if anything happened, having someone nearby who could quickly call for help might make a difference. And it did. I sat there stunned, realizing that my worst date had accidentally placed me exactly where I needed to be. What I thought was a wasted afternoon had actually helped save someone's life. Sienna smiled gently as she told me this, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear while sunlight streamed through the windows again. The tension of the earlier moment had softened into something warm and quietly meaningful. For the first time that day, I felt something different from disappointment. I felt purpose. We ended up talking for almost an hour after her shift ended. Not like strangers trapped on a bad date, but like two people discovering a shared belief that kindness, attention, and small choices matter more than most people realize. Sometimes life doesn't give you the moment you expected. Sometimes it gives you the moment you needed. And if this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to Kindness Journal for more real-life inspired stories that remind us the world still has good in it. Special request, comment below and tell us about a moment when a small decision changed your entire day. Because sometimes the most important turning points in life begin with the simplest words. If I were you, I'd stay.